Are you waiting to be chosen? Or have you forgotten that you can choose too? I'm Naira Elowin, and today, maybe you'll realize that your silence has come at too high a price. Today you'll understand why so many strong women end up stuck in ambiguous relationships and learn how to escape that trap without losing your dignity. The trap of the woman who waits to be chosen. Do you know what's the cruelest part about waiting to be chosen? It's that, in the meantime, you stop choosing yourself. At first, it feels like just a game. You pretend everything's fine, while he pretends not to notice how fully you're there, waiting for a sign. But the truth is, it's not a game. It's an addiction. Yes, an emotional addiction, silent and devastating. Because what keeps you stuck isn't love, it's hope. The hope that any moment now he'll change, that he'll see your worth, that he'll commit, that he'll realize you were always there, but the longer you wait, the more time passes, and the less you recognize yourself. You stopped saying what you wanted. You stopped expressing how you felt. You stopped prioritizing yourself in hopes of becoming his priority. And behind all that, there's something deeper, lack of internal clarity. Because when a woman isn't clear on what she wants, she becomes a prisoner to whatever the other person offers. If he comes with crumbs, she tries to make a meal. If he disappears, she calls it space. If he returns, she sees it as a sign. But it's not. It's just intermittent dopamine. This cycle of presence and absence, attention and coldness, creates a chemical loop that traps you. Your brain has learned to associate that back and forth with emotion, with attachment, with love. But real love doesn't leave you in constant doubt. Have you ever caught yourself waiting for a notification? That 3-word message? That "I missed you"? Have you ever canceled plans just to be available, in case he decided to reach out? Have you ever convinced yourself that his silence was respect and not disinterest? You're not alone. You waited, you adapted, you were patient, and I know how much that wears you down inside, because I was that woman too. The one who stayed quiet not to scare him off. The one who accepted too little for fear of losing everything. The one who mistook absence for mystery and coldness for maturity. But let me tell you something no one may have said clearly. Stop. Reshaping yourself to fit into spaces where you never fully belonged. Maybe he hasn't chosen you, because you haven't chosen yourself with conviction. Maybe you're so addicted to the almost that you've forgotten what complete even looks like. The woman you need to become doesn't wait to be chosen. She stands tall. She chooses herself. She walks away from what shrinks her. Even when it still hurts, you can change everything. And it starts with one decision. Enough of waiting for his sign. You're the one who decides when your story turns the page. When her silence is mistaken for strength, they say you're strong because you can handle it, because you don't cry in front of anyone, because you swallow the pain with grace. But you know, it's not strength, it's defense. It's the fear of seeming weak. It's the worry you'll be discarded if you dare show what you really feel. It's that subtle, poisonous idea that a mature woman doesn't complain, she understands. But silence born from fear isn't wisdom. It's self-betrayal. And there's a dangerous trap hidden here. The woman who's learned to endure everything just so she doesn't lose the little she has. You go quiet when something hurts. You downplay it when he pretends not to notice your shift in mood. You say everything's fine, when really, you wanted to scream. All to maintain the image of being chill, mature, understanding. But hear me clearly. Emotional. Maturity isn't the absence of pain. It's being able to express what you feel without abandoning yourself in the process. Suppressing isn't resilience. Pretending it doesn't hurt doesn't protect you. It just delays the breaking point. With yourself, do you remember the last time you wanted to ask something and didn't? The last time he hurt you and you smiled through the disappointment? You thought, if I confront him, he'll pull away. If I show that I care, I'll seem needy. If I reveal too much, I'll scare him. And with those thoughts, day after day, you disconnected from your own truth. But let me tell you something, just between us. There's nothing noble about enduring everything in silence. It's dangerous, because that silence accumulates into tiny wounds, and those wounds either explode or numb you from the inside. Even worse, this kind of silence feeds an invisible cycle. You believe you're being the balanced woman, but he simply interprets it as, you're okay with everything. Then, when you finally speak up, he says you changed, that you weren't like this. No, you didn't change. You just got tired of swallowing your truth. You don't need to explode to be heard, but you do need to stop staying quiet. Breathe before you respond. Write before you disappear. Speak up before you get sick. No woman should live afraid of seeming too emotional. Because feeling isn't weakness, it's proof that you're still alive. Stop calling strength what is actually self-sabotage. Your silence needs to be a choice, not a hiding place. Because when you stay silent too long, he'll never truly know who you are. And eventually, you'll forget too. The cycle of the silent savior. Do you secretly believe that if you love him enough, he'll change? It's subtle, but it's there. That belief that your patience can heal his indifference, that your affection will melt his coldness, that with time, he'll realize you're different and change for you. But that's not love. That's emotional repair. You're not loving a man. You're trying to save an emotional project that's draining you. This is the trap of the silent savior, the woman who erases herself trying to fix someone who doesn't even recognize his own pain. She offers understanding when she should be setting boundaries. She holds the relationship together when it's clear the other person isn't present. She keeps trying, even after all the signs show she's alone. Why? Because somewhere along the way, someone taught you that love means effort, that a woman who's truly worth it is the one who stays when everyone else leaves, that men just need someone to truly love them. And you believed it. So you tolerate, you wait. You give everything of yourself and forget about yourself in the process. Maybe you've confused maternal instinct with romantic love. Maybe you think that if you're good enough, he'll realize he needs to change. But let me tell you something. You weren't born to raise a man, much less to be the therapist of someone who doesn't want to heal. This pattern runs deep. Women who became too responsible, too early, who learned to earn affection by being useful, who believe they only matter when they're fixing someone else's life. But love isn't a project, and it's not a reward. You're trying to save someone who's sinking you. And the cruelest part? The more you give, the less he respects you. Not because you're not enough, but because he senses you have no limits. You've asked 1,000 times how to help him. Now ask yourself, who's taking care of you? You have the right to step out of this cycle, to free yourself from a mission that was never yours, to be loved, not just needed. Stop carrying wounds that aren't yours. Stop trying to be the cure for a man who is your pain. Try this simple but powerful exercise. List 3 situations where you tried to help, but deep down, you were just hoping to be accepted. Then write underneath, "This is not my responsibility." Repeat it as often as needed. You don't have to give everything to be worthy. You already are, even when you're not fixing anyone. 4. When the absence of conflict does more harm than an argument. But we never fight. Have you ever said that as if it were a sign of a healthy relationship? Be careful. Sometimes the absence of conflict isn't peace. It's suffocated silence. It's disconnection disguised as harmony. Some women think they're in a mature love when, in reality, they're fading just to keep the relationship running. She avoids difficult conversations, swallows her hurt, pretends everything's fine. Because she learned that being agreeable is safer than disagreeing, and then she becomes the perfect partner, the one who always understands, never demands, and accepts everything with a quiet smile. But here's the problem. Someone who never shows discomfort is never truly seen. You might be in a relationship where you never fight because you never say how you really feel, or because you're afraid of seeming difficult, or because at some point you equated conflict with abandonment. That's the root: fear of rejection. That paralyzing fear of losing everything just for expressing a legitimate need, so you stay quiet. This pattern has a name: anxious attachment with a fear of displeasing. It's when you're so afraid of rejection that you choose to erase yourself. You think it's safer to be cool, chill, drama-free, than risk being too much. But in this effort to please, you start losing yourself. Do you feel like he doesn't truly know you? Maybe it's because you never fully showed yourself. Do you avoid small confrontations, but carry a silent rage inside? Do you say yes with your mouth but scream no with your body? That's not peace, it's masked tension. And sooner or later, it overflows. So let me teach you a simple 3-step technique to break this cycle of being the quiet pleaser. Name the emotion before responding. Stop and ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now? Acknowledge the fear behind the silence. Am I staying quiet because it's right, or because I'm afraid of losing him? State a small but firm boundary. Example: this bothered me and I want to talk about it, even if he doesn't like it, even if he pulls away. Because, my dear, anyone who walks away just because you spoke your truth was never really there. You don't need to fight, but you do need to learn to disagree with courage. A relationship without friction might seem ideal, but is often just a disguise for imbalance. If he's never heard a no from you, he doesn't know you. And you're not in a relationship, you're in a performance. If you never say how you feel, how will he ever know who you are? The woman who adapts so much that she disappears in the beginning. You just wanted to be easygoing. You wanted to be different from the others. You wanted to show that you're understanding, mature, not difficult. So you adapt. You say you don't mind when he's late. You accept his pace. You change your tone of voice, your opinion, even your style. And slowly, without realizing it, you start fading in the relationship. You didn't stop existing, but only within the space he allows. And that, my dear, is the beginning of emotional erasure. At first, it feels like a choice, but later, it becomes a prison. You hesitate before saying what you think. You ask yourself, will this push him away? And then you choose to stay quiet, to give in, to mold yourself. That's the chameleon effect. The woman who adapts so much that she erases her own color. And the most twisted part is that you don't even notice at first. Because he compliments you, says you're easy to be with, that he's never had someone so understanding. But over time, the internal pressure grows. You start walking on eggshells, weighing every word, living in fear of being too much, and without realizing it, you stop being a woman and become an extension of his desires. This has an explanation: the psychology of belonging. Maybe long ago, you learned that being accepted is more important than being authentic. Maybe someone once rejected you for being intense, sensitive, or feeling too much. And now, you recalibrate everything to fit. But let me tell you, belonging that demands self-erasure is not belonging. It's self-betrayal. Have you ever feared that if you showed your true self, he would leave? Have you smiled on the outside when you were uncomfortable inside, just to keep the mood light? Have you swallowed a strong opinion because you thought, it's not worth it? It's more common than you think. I used to be that woman too. The one who slowly faded to fit someone else's love. The one who did everything to avoid rejection. And the more I adapted, the more I lost myself. Until one day, the woman I saw in the mirror didn't look like me anymore. And you know how I started to come back? with small acts of emotional rebellion, saying what I think without fear, wearing what I love, saying no, even if my voice trembled, and I saw something magical happen. The people who wanted a chameleon version of me disappeared, but those who saw me fully stayed. You don't need to shrink to be accepted. You need to show up fully to be truly loved. What part of you is so afraid of being seen that it prefers to disappear? Maybe it's time to bring that part back. The invisible cost of being the perfect partner. You try to be everything. The easygoing partner, the understanding woman, the one who supports, inspires, never burdens. You work hard not to complain, not to seem needy, and everyone says, she's amazing. But no one asks, is she okay? Because being perfect became your mask, an armor you built so you wouldn't lose anyone's love. But in the process, you lost yourself. The truth is, this role comes at a cost, and that cost is often your own abandonment. You suppress your desires, you ignore legitimate needs, you dismiss real discomforts, all to keep up the image that you're strong, balanced, ideal. But let me tell you an uncomfortable truth. Being the perfect partner doesn't bring you closer to love. It pulls you further from yourself. Because you stop existing as a real woman, with limits, desires, and scars, and you become a character who only lives to please. And this pattern doesn't come from nowhere. Many women grow up hearing they have to be good enough to be chosen, that if they're understanding, men will stay, that with patience and effort, true love will come. But that's a trap. And if you're not careful, you'll turn your relationship into a stage where you're performing the whole time. Have you ever felt like even giving your all still isn't enough? Have you noticed that the more you try to be enough, the more invisible you feel? That's the sign. It's your body telling you you've crossed the line from giving to abandoning yourself, because giving without boundaries is a fall. Mature love doesn't mean ignoring what you need. It means having the courage to ask for what's fair, with respect, but with firmness. That's what true feminine energy is, not endless sacrifice, but knowing when to step back, feeling deeply, but also protecting yourself. So here's a simple but powerful exercise. Write down 3 recent situations where you adapted more than necessary. Then, next to each one, write, I can be loved without abandoning myself. Repeat as many times as you need, because in the end, the love you deserve doesn't require perfection. It requires presence, your full, honest presence. Are you trying to be perfect? Or are you finally ready to be whole? 7. When you love more than you're loved, do you feel like you love more? More presence, more care, more messages, more effort, more giving. While on the other side, you receive so little. And still, you blame yourself for feeling like you're too much. But you're not too much. It's just disproportionate. It's the silent imbalance between someone who gives their all and someone who only offers crumbs. And maybe the question you've been avoiding is, why do you accept so little and still call it love? The answer often hides in a quiet place. The illusion of potential. You're not loving what he gives you today. You're loving what you believe he could become. If he matured, if he saw your worth, if he woke up. But love isn't a bet. Love is a mutual choice in the present. And the more you cling to this hope, the further you drift from yourself. Neuroscience explains this. The chemistry of attachment distorts logic. Your brain clings to the dopamine from those few times he gets it right, to the memory of the beginning, to that rare moment when he was kind, present, sweet. You hold on to that like it's proof. But it's not. It's the exception. And you're trying to build something lasting out of fleeting moments. Have you ever tried to measure how much of this relationship survives only because of your effort? Have you counted how many times you Started the conversation, made the plans, adjusted, just so he wouldn't drift away? Have you noticed how you're always investing while he just responds? You're not asking for too much. You're just asking for reciprocity. And if there's no reciprocity, that's not love. That's imbalance. That's neediness mistaken for connection. So here's a simple but liberating technique. For 7 days, write down everything you do for this person and everything they do for you. No judgment, just track it. On the 8th day, read it honestly. You'll know deep down whether you're truly loving or trying to make up for someone else's absence. Because the one who loves more is often just trying to earn what should already be natural. You don't need to prove you deserve love. You need to remember it's only real when it's mutual, and if you have to choose between keeping this up and keeping yourself, choose you. What part of you still believes you have to earn love instead of simply receiving it? That part needs your attention, and more than that, your compassion. If this hit you where it hurts, it's because you've given too much, waited too long, and forgot that you have the power to choose too. You don't need to prove your worth. You just need to stop shrinking to fit places you've outgrown. Comment below, "I choose myself." Let that be your new beginning. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because here we don't promise fairy tales. We speak truths that set you free. Ready for the next step? Watch the video on screen. Your healing continues there.